think that this guy will punch me in the mouth if I make out with his girlfriend?
Yes.
Great.
Hey, come on in. It's time for another edition of Pain Day, baby. Somebody's gonna get jacked up. I'm sporting my Jim Kelly. Old school Cane Day, baby. You can't slow me down. What are we doing this week? I'm doing all the big games. Georgia Tech and North Carolina. I'm a rambling ride from Georgia Tech and a hell of an engineer. You better believe they're going to be smacking heads in this one. How about Notre Dame and Michigan State and East Lansing? They're going to be going crazy. Florida and Tennessee. We know what happened last year. Florida was favored by 28 and a hook. Then it was a tight game. We'll talk about Arkansas, Georgia, Clemson, Auburn, Arizona State, Wisconsin, Nebraska, and Washington up in the Pacific Northwest, Mississippi State, LSU, and Death Valley, Tulsa and Oklahoma State and Stillwater, Fresno State and Utah State. You talk about high scoring, baby. And BYU, Florida State. Last year, the Seminoles jacked up the Cougars and blew them out 54-28. So let's get into all these games. In fact, I think I need a freshie. Stella! Oh, isn't that a beautiful thing? Who's laughing now? You gotta have a cold one if you're gonna talk about Pain Day games, don't you think? Anyway, Georgia Tech and North Carolina. Now you go to Chapel Hill. This is not gonna be easy. I'll tell you one thing. The Heels impressed me in that opening game they played against LSU. They were missing 8 of their 14 returning starters on that team. And what happened in the second half? UNC came back and gave LSU all they could handle. It was just a great game. They played it in Atlanta. So I have respect for the Heels. I think they're going to be tough for the Jackets at home. I love Paul Johnson, great coach, triple threat option. Their offense and running game is very hard to stop. Georgia Tech, clearly ranked, clearly going to be favored. Last year they were favored by 2.5. They won 24-7. This is going to be a different game. The Heels are going to overcome all their guys that are suspended. They're going to show up for this one. It's not going to be fun for the Jackets, I can guarantee you that. Now, Notre Dame, Michigan State. Notre Dame finally goes on the road. They open against Purdue. Then they had Michigan. And now their annual game with the Spartans. You know, last year Notre Dame was favored by 10, and it ended up being a 33-30 Irish win. So they barely got it done. I got to tell you, I thought Notre Dame looked really average in the opener. I thought their quarterback played like an idiot. He was stomping on players on Purdue and acting like he didn't do anything wrong with his arms up. This guy's tangling my feet up as I'm stepping on his face. I didn't do anything. I go to Notre Dame. You're a sissy. I'll tell you what. I still think Notre Dame's better than Michigan State. I think Michigan State every year, it's a basketball school, and don't forget it. Florida and Tennessee. Whenever you go to Knoxville, it's not going to be fun. And I talk about teams that didn't look good in their openers. Florida looked the worst to me of anybody. Sure, Brantley's a new quarterback. Sure, Tebow's gone. Get over it. Oh, Urban Meyer's heart stopped. Get over it. Start playing Gator football. They're better than Tennessee, but playing in Knoxville in front of 100,000 is not going to be fun. Arkansas and Georgia. I love this game because of one reason. Last year they played, it was 52-41 dogs. The reason why you got to watch this game is twofold. Ryan Mallett, the quarterback of the Razorbacks, is sickening talent. He's going to be an NFL draft pick for sure. He could be a first rounder because of his size. He's huge. He's like 6'4", 230. He's a horse. And I think he's going to give Georgia all they can handle, even in Athens, between the hedges. I think it's going to be an awesome game. This could be the game of the day. I'm sure it'll be on CBS. Clemson and Auburn. They didn't play last year, but any game at Auburn, playing a home game, all those hot cheerleaders at Auburn, this is going to be a great game. Clemson and Auburn. They don't like each other. I say bring it on. Here's another one. Arizona State. I don't like the Sun Devils, but I do like the Badgers, and they're playing this game in Madtown. They didn't meet last year, but the Badgers are ranked. They're for real. They're the only team that can give Ohio State a run, maybe besides Iowa, in the Big Ten to win the Big Ten Conference. A lot of people have Ohio State going to the national championship game before they even play their schedule. I hate when people do that. Play the games. Let's see how the Badgers do against the Sun Devils up in Madtown. Cheeseheads, people getting hammered. Nebraska and Washington. Why is this a game I like? Well, Nebraska's got one of the best defenses in the country, and they're taking on Jake Locker up in the Pacific Northwest. It's going to be crazy fans who go nuts for this quarterback. He could be the #1 quarterback taken in the NFL draft next year. He's a stud. He came back to the Huskies because he wants to win. This is going to be a great chance for an upset special here with the Huskies at home. Can they knock off the Huskers? I like that, Huskies. That's going to be an awesome game in the late afternoon up in Seattle. Mississippi State LSU. Don't get ahead of yourself, Bulldog fans. You're not that good. You look good early, but you're going to find out how good you are when you play at Death Valley here against the LSU Tigers. They don't lose in Death Valley at night under Les Miles or anyone else for that matter. I like this game. Last year was tight, 30-26. LSU won it. They were laying 14 though. They didn't cover. I still like LSU in this football game. Tulsa and Oklahoma State. Why this game? Well, it's simple. Tulsa scored 49 against East Carolina. They lost 51-49. But they can put the ball in the end zone and soak in the Oklahoma State Stillwater bunch. The Cowboys are going to be rocking. This is going to be a big-time over. All kinds of scoring, chaos, touchdowns. Great game to watch. Fresno State and Utah State. Why pick that game? Same thing. They score a lot of points. The year before, Fresno State was favored by 17. They didn't cover it. They win at 31-27. High-scoring game, end-to-end. Lots of throwing, lots of hitting. You're going to like this football game. Utah State gave Oklahoma fits in their opener and scored a bunch of points. I think Utah State's the play at home in this game. Finally, BYU and Florida State. Florida State absolutely embarrassed the Cougars the year before out in the mountains in their opening game, 54-28. And BYU was laying 7, and they were ranked. Now they get to try to return the favor. I say it doesn't happen though. They're going to go down and face Mr. Ponder, the quarterback of the Seminoles, at home in Tallahassee. Doak Walker, are you kidding me? Take the Noles here. It's going to be rock and roll. How do you like all those games? I'll tell you what, just thinking about it makes me want to have another freshie sip. Stella. I love college football, and so do you, baby. Catch that Pain Day College Fever every week on PharrellRadio.com and ride my action. You know where to find the picks. ScottBeatsTheMan.com. Go back a few weeks. 26-13 against the spread. Who makes you the cheddar, baby? Who loves you? Uncle Futrelli, that's who. Cheers. Everybody loves Pain Day. Somebody's going to get smacked in the mouth. You got to love it. Huge games this week. Let's get amped up for them. With the game at the Meadowlands, the Pats and Jets. This is a battle for the AFC East. Supremacy. They hate each other's guts. It's a war. You got the superstar stud quarterback Tom Brady, new contract. You got Mark Sanchez, year 2. Is he going to have a sophomore slump? Then you got the Monday Nighters, Saints, Niners in the city, bada bada yay. We'll talk about the Ravens, Bengals, Dolphins, Vikings, Steelers, Titans in an AFC North battle, and a G-Man against the Colts in Indianapolis. So let's introduce the crew. Mafia, Sweet Lou, they call him Mysterio. And that's our boy Rasan Salam, the ball carrier, Rasan Rogers. All right, now let's start with the Pats and Jets. Now, since you are the gangrene fan here and you suck up to the Jets and you drink that green Rex Ryan Kool-Aid, can they beat the Patriots at the New Meadowlands in this all-important battle for early dominance in the division?
I think they absolutely can. I mean, the Patriots' defense is getting old. They're always great games no matter how not matched up these teams are. But the Jets finally have a good team, both defense and offense. They can play both sides of the ball. Brady doesn't have the weapons that he used to. Moss is pissed off about his contract. This could be one-sided for the Jets if things aren't clicking right early for the Patriots.
And then Brady said the other day, Moss is the best deep threat in the NFL still. Do you buy that?
I don't think he is still. He's still a great deep threat. You saw that in the preseason against the Rams. They can catch the ball down the field 60 yards plus, but he's slower, he's older. He's not the best deep threat there was, but he's still dangerous.
Do you think that you'll get in a fist fight in the game? All right, Mysterio, who do you like in that game?
I actually agree with Mafia. I like the Jets. I think that Tom Brady, although he's a good quarterback still, he doesn't have the weapons like Mafia said.
All right, Rasan, Pats or Jets? Here in Jersey, it's going to be crazy out there with all those drunken Jet fans screaming obscenities. They hate everything about the Patriots because the Patriots have owned their ass forever, and they've owned that division forever. Can the Jets say, it's our turn right now?
Everyone's quick to count out the Patriots, but Tom Brady still has a cannon, and Randy Moss is still an excellent deep threat in my opinion, so I think it'll be a great match. I'm going with the Pats.
Wow, he's going with the Pats. I'll tell you what, until the Jets start beating the Patriots, they'll never win the Super Bowl. I'm not buying the act that they're going to the Super Bowl because they were on Hard Knocks. I'm not buying the fact that the newspapers in New York every single year say the Jets and Giants are going to the Super Bowl. And I am buying the fact that the Jets have won once since I've been alive. And the guy that was running them was Joe Namath, and he had a big fur coat. And Mark Sanchez doesn't look good in fur. I'm just telling you. Let's talk about some of these other games. Ravens and Bengals in the Queen City, Lou. And the Ravens defense against the Bengals, who melted down in the playoffs and before the playoffs. The Jets beat them twice, and in the regular season and in the playoffs. And that was after they'd already messed with the Chargers. So the Jets aren't afraid of them. Should the Ravens be afraid of Ocho Ferrellico and T.O. and Mr. Palmer? And do you think Palmer's still a great quarterback? Or was he ever a great quarterback?
I don't think the Bengals have to be afraid of the Ravens. The Ravens are a solid team. They're coached very well, but I have a feeling that Carson Palmer and his new core of receivers, and when I say new core, I mean T.O., they have a lot to prove, and they're going to come out and they're going to throw the ball all over the field. Look out for the Bengals this year. I think the Bengals beat the Ravens in this one.
What do you like, Ravens or Bengals? Are you going with Flacco or Carson Palmer?
I'm going with Flacco. I'm going with Flacco because he's got Anquan Bolden out there now. They just signed T.J. Gonzalez, which is going to be big for them. And although they are missing a few guys on defense, I think they'll be able to pull it out.
I like their receiving and running game and defense. And I actually think Flacco manages a game better than Palmer. I think Palmer takes too many risks, too many bombs. I think the Ravens are all about moving the ball down the field, getting first downs, ball control, time control, possession, don't turn it over. That's how they play football. In defense, they don't want you to get first downs. Do you think that's how they play, and can they do it in Cincinnati?
I absolutely agree with that's how they play. I mean, it's always been about in-your-face, smash-mouth football with the Ravens. Their defense was going to stop you, and their offense was going to run it just enough to get a few points to win. Now, for the first time ever, they have a legitimate top receiver in Bolden. We saw Mason and Flacco open up all preseason. I think that offense is now finally rolling in all cylinders and matches up with that defense and can get it done in the clutch. And T.O. and Ocho Cinco, just too many mouths to feed for Carson Palmer to get things going without someone getting pissed off.
You know, they both had TV shows this summer, their own reality shows. And I gotta say, they were the worst shows I've ever seen in my life. And now, Versus has given them a show together. And I'm hoping that they get married on that show and become lovers. Dolphins-Vikings. Dolphins, in my view, have no chance in Minnesota against Favre and the Vikings. They're going to get lit up. This is not going to go well for the Fins.
No, it's not. Brett Favre is going to be in his midseason form. He'll be throwing the ball all over the field to every receiver that he's got healthy, because the receiving core is pretty banged up with Sidney Rice and with the migraines Percy Harvin's going through. There's no shot this team going inside a dome and beating the Minnesota Vikings.
All right, Steelers-Titans. All that matters in life are the Pittsburgh Steelers. Steelers are taking on the Titans. This is a divisional battle, and it's in Nashville. I think the Steelers are going to have problems down there because they don't have a quarterback.
Ben Roethlisberger will not play, obviously. It'll probably be Dennis Dixon. And anytime you got Chris Johnson on one side, Vince Young on another, and a nice group of wide receivers and a nice tight end, you're in trouble. The Steelers are definitely in trouble when they go to play the Titans.
All right, let's talk about your G-Man. G-Man, Big Blue. Going to Indy to see G-Money's Colts. And Peyton Manning, 0-4 in the preseason, he could care less. All he cares about is winning 11, 12 games every year, going to the playoffs, getting a bye, and getting to the second round, and then doing his magic and getting in the title game. Is it going to be the same thing for the Colts, and do they handle Eli Manning here at home?
Yes. Eli Manning will lose yet again to his big brother. Peyton Manning's going to get the job done. I love my Giants, but it's going to be a tough season this year, especially going into Indy, where the Colts are virtually unbeatable. Manning's offense is exactly that. It's Manning's offense, and whatever Peyton Manning does on the field, that's going to be the outcome of this game. I look for the Giants to lose.
Do you think, Rasan, that during the game, at any point when the Colts are up by like 10-14, that he'll look at his brother and say, "You're my bitch"?
Probably sends him a text message every day before the game. That's how Twitter.
I believe that. All right, Saints-Niners Monday night, City by the Bay. This is a good one. Drew Brees going to show Alex Smith the way. You know, you got a Super Bowl champion, and then you got the hype machine of the Niners. Oh, Singletary's going to take the Niners back to glory, except their quarterback sucks.
I will say this game is going to be very close in the first half, and then the Saints will just blow them out in the second half. So look for the Niners to hang tough, and then the Saints just take over.
Every week you come to Hurley's, hang out with us. 48th Street between 8th and Broadway. We talk college football, the biggest matchups in the week. Pro football, the biggest matchups in the week. Nothing but pain day. Nothing but smacking heads. We'll see you next week on Pain Day.